The night on planet Varela, the sky was on fire. As Jake's escape pod tore through the clouds of an unknown planet, alarms screamed in his ears. Red lights flashed. Systems were failing. All he could do was hold tight and pray. With a loud crash, the pod slammed into the thick jungle floor. Trees snapped. Smoke rose. And then, silence. Jake opened his eyes, breathing hard. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he was alive. The pod was broken and communication was dead. He was alone, somewhere in deep space, on a planet not marked on any map. The air outside was warm and heavy. Strange bird-like sounds echoed through the jungle. The sky above was a deep purple with two moons glowing side by side. It was beautiful. And dangerous. Jake grabbed his pack, a small light, and a scanner. He moved slowly through the trees, looking for a safe place to rest. Glowing plants lit the path, and giant flowers turned their heads as he passed. Everything here was alive. Too alive. He found a small cave under a rock ledge and made camp. As night fell, the jungle grew louder. Sounds of wings, deep growls, and strange whispers filled the air. Then he saw her. She stood just beyond the trees. Tall, with feathers that shimmered in the moonlight. Gold, blue, and silver. Her face was not human, but her eyes were full of something Jake understood. Curiosity. They stared at each other. She took one step forward. Jake didn't move. His scanner beeped softly. The reading said, "Intelligent life form, unknown species, no threat detected." She made no sound, just slowly moved closer, her feathers glowing like soft fire. She held something in her hand, a fruit, round and red. She placed it near Jake and stepped back. He looked at it, then at her. Slowly he picked it up and took a bite. Sweet. Safe. Her feathers seemed to brighten as he ate. It was her way of saying, peace. The night grew deeper. She stayed nearby, watching him. Jake, tired and in pain, sat beside the fire he had built. She sat across from him. They didn't speak. No words were needed. Something passed between them. Quiet understanding. She pointed to the sky, then to her heart, then to Jake. He didn't fully understand, but he nodded. When Jake closed his eyes to sleep, he felt a soft touch, like feathers brushing his arm. She was gone by the time he opened his eyes again. He slept. The next morning, light filtered through the leaves. Birds sang strange songs. Jake sat up and rubbed his eyes. Then he saw it. Beside his sleeping mat, resting in a bed of leaves, was an egg. It was small, glowing faintly and warm to the touch, pale gold with silver veins running through the shell. His heart pounded. Where had it come from? He looked around, but the feathered alien was gone. No tracks. No sound. Just the egg. Jake stared at it, confused and afraid, but something in him said, "This is not just a creature. This means something." He gently picked up the egg. It pulsed with light. Not like any normal egg. This one felt alive in a way he couldn't explain. Was it hers? Was it theirs? He shook his head. It didn't make sense. He had spent one night on a strange planet, shared no words, and now this. A low hum filled the air, not from the jungle, but from the egg itself. Jake's scanner blinked. Life form detected. Unknown hybrid. Genetic structure, partially human. His hand shook. "What the hell?" he whispered. Just then, the wind shifted. The jungle grew quiet. Too quiet. Jake stood, holding the egg close. Something was coming. He didn't know what, but he knew one thing. He couldn't leave the egg behind. Whatever had happened that night, it wasn't over. Not even close. The egg hatches. The egg pulsed in Jake's hands like a tiny heartbeat. Soft light glowed from within, warm against his skin. He wrapped it gently in his jacket and held it close to his chest. The jungle around him was still, too still. As he moved through the trees, every step felt heavier. It was like the forest was watching him. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed, like something slicing through air. He ducked behind a thick tree. His hand instinctively reached for his broken sidearm, though it had little charge left. Branches above rustled. Something passed overhead, large wings, silent flight. He looked up but saw nothing. Whatever it wasn't the feathered alien from before. This felt darker. He stayed hidden for a while, not moving. The egg gave off a soft hum, almost like a whisper in his mind. Finally, when it was quiet again, he began walking. He needed shelter, somewhere safe. After 2 hours of hiking through thick vines and glowing mushrooms, he found an old alien ruin. Stone walls half covered in moss with symbols he couldn't read. It looked ancient and abandoned. Perfect. He cleared the space, set up his solar tarp, and placed the egg gently in a bed of soft moss. It pulsed again, brighter this time. Then it cracked. Just a small line. But Jake saw it. He froze. His heart pounded in his ears. He crouched beside the egg. More cracks appeared, slow, glowing like veins of light. Then with a soft pop, the top of the shell broke off. Steam hissed out. From within the egg, a small shape rose. It blinked. Jake stared. It was no ordinary creature. The hatchling had tiny feathers, soft and glowing. Its eyes were silver but shaped like human eyes. It looked part alien, part human, part something else. Its gaze locked with Jake's, and in that moment he felt something strange. Not fear, not confusion. Connection. The creature reached out with its tiny clawed hand and touched Jake's chest, right over his heart. A wave of emotions hit him. Images, feelings, memories not his own. A forest burning, stars dying, a planet crying, and then peace. A voice faint, not heard but felt. Protect me. Jake gasped and fell back. The vision stopped. The creature blinked and curled up in the moss, eyes already closing. It needed rest. He didn't sleep that night. He kept watch. Not just over the jungle, but over the child, because now that's what it was. A child. His? No, not possible. But maybe. He remembered her, the feathered alien, the night of silence, of peace, of strange understanding. She had chosen him. She had left the egg, and this child, this being, was now the center of something bigger than he could understand. The next morning, things got worse. A deep rumble shook the ground. In the sky, a ship appeared. Not human. It was long, black, and covered in red lights. It didn't hover like human craft. It floated like it was swimming through air. Jake grabbed his scanner. It couldn't identify the ship. Only one warning flashed. Danger. Predator class. Lifeform signature, multiple. Armed. His breath caught. They weren't just visitors. They were hunters. He wrapped the child in cloth and held it close. It was still weak, its tiny feathers trembling. The ruin had no real protection. He had to move. Fast. He stepped outside, heart pounding, and that's when he saw them. 3 creatures, tall and armored, with insect-like masks and long, sharp weapons. They moved like shadows, sniffing the air. They were tracking something. Him. The child. He ran, through the forest, through rivers, past glowing animals and screaming trees. He didn't stop, couldn't. Behind him the hunters followed, fast, silent, deadly. He reached a cliff and slid down, holding the child close. He hit the bottom hard but kept going. Blood ran from his leg, but he didn't feel it. He hid in a hollow tree, breathing, shallow. The child opened its eyes again, glowing softly. Its gaze locked on Jake, and for a moment time slowed. Another vision, a great tree, taller than clouds, with silver roots touching the stars. A voice. Take me there. The vision ended. He blinked. Where? He whispered. What are you? But the child closed its eyes again. The hunters passed nearby. One stopped, sniffed, turned. Jake held his breath. Then, an explosion. Not near him. Above, something had attacked the hunters. Wings fluttered, feathers dropped from the sky. It was her, the mother, alive. She landed like thunder, eyes blazing, feathers glowing like a storm. She struck the hunters with blinding light. They screamed and vanished into smoke. Jake couldn't move. He stared. She looked at him, not with anger, not with fear, with sadness. She spoke this time. Only once. Her voice was soft like wind through leaves. Protect him, or everything dies. Then she vanished. Not flew, not walked, just vanished. The jungle fell silent. Jake held the child tighter. He didn't know what this creature truly was. But now, he knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was a mission. The fate of more than one world now rested in his arms. The Alien Council, for 3 days, Jake moved through the wild lands of Varela. Each night, he slept under trees that whispered in alien tongues. Each morning, he followed the visions the child sent him, flashes of strange symbols, glowing trees, cities floating above clouds. The child, small, fragile, half-feathered, grew stronger with each sunrise. It did not speak, but it understood. It felt, it dreamed, and its dreams were never simple. On the 4th day they came, not hunters, not monsters. They came from the sky in silence. 8 ships shaped like spinning leaves glowing gold and green. They did not attack. They surrounded him, casting soft light over the jungle. From the center ship, figures floated down, tall, elegant, covered in feathers like cloaks. Not soldiers, not guards, elders. One of them spoke, voice deep and layered. Like a choir, you carry what should not exist. Jake did not run. He stepped forward, holding the child close. Then tell me what it is, he said. Tell me what she left with me. A pause. The elder looked at the child. Its silver eyes blinked. Then, without a word, they surrounded Jake, and in a beam of golden light he was lifted into the air. They took him, not to prison, but to the Sky Tree City, a place no human had ever seen. High above Varela, far beyond, the reach of vines and mountains floated a city made of living wood and crystal. Branches large as ships curled through the clouds. Energy flowed like rivers through glowing roots. The air hummed with life. Jake stood at the center of it all, child in his arms, surrounded by the council of guardians, 12 beings. Each different, bird-like, reptilian, insectoid, some ancient, barely moving, some young, their feathers still fresh, but all powerful. The chamber was silent. Then one spoke, a female, her voice gentle, but sharp. Do you know what you carry, human? Jake shook his head. A child. Part of me. Part of her. The elder leaned forward. This is not a child. This is a key. A prophecy. A breaking of all laws. Another elder hissed, feathers flaring. No guardian has ever laid an egg with a mortal. A third. It is forbidden. It is dangerous. Jake held the child tighter. She saved me. She left this with me. You think I asked for this? I didn't. You may not have asked, said the eldest among them, his feathers like silver flame. But you were chosen. The chamber grew, cold. They showed him a vision projected into his mind. A war, not in the past, in the future. Planets burned, stars collapsed. A force, unknown, endless, devouring galaxies. And at the center of resistance, a being, glowing with feathers and fire, leading both human and alien. The child. His child. The one born of 2 worlds. The vision faded. Jake's knees gave out. He dropped to the floor, shaking. The eldest elder stood, This child is the last chance, or the final weapon. Silence. What does that mean? Jake asked, voice cracking. The elder stared at him. It means if the wrong hands raise it, the galaxy burns. After the council, Jake was taken to a floating sanctuary, a place made of light and leaves. Guardians walked silently, whispering. Some looked at him with curiosity, others with hate. One approached, different from the others. Feathers dark blue, younger, fierce eyes. My name is Eris, she said. I do not trust you. Jake sighed. You're not alone. But I also do not trust the council, she added. He looked up. Eris stepped closer. There are those who believe this child is not a mistake, but a message. That the time of separation, between your kind and ours, is ending. That your arrival is part of something older than all of us. What do you mean? She touched the child's forehead. It cooed softly. There is a place, she said. The Star Vault, hidden deep under this world. A living memory. Only a hybrid can open it. Jake frowned. So, what happens if we open it? We find out why the Guardians feared love, and why your child might be the one who saves us all. But they were not alone. Some among the Guardians did not want peace. Deep in the Sky City, a secret signal was sent. Across the stars, in the dark edge of space, the hunters received it, and they were not the only ones coming. Humans had picked up Jake's distress beacon, and a ship was on its way. A human military cruiser, armed and ready. They were coming to rescue him, but they didn't know about the child, and they wouldn't understand. That night, the child stood on its tiny legs for the first time. Its wings fluttered, its eyes glowed. The floor beneath it, made of ancient wood and crystal, lit up with symbols. The room shook. Outside, the sky turned red. The Star Vault was waking. Secrets of the Guardians, the Star Vault was waking. Below the city in the clouds, the jungle shivered. Birds flew in strange patterns. Glowing vines twisted toward the sky like they were reaching for something. Jake stood at the balcony of his sanctuary, the child in his arms. Behind him, Guardian Eris watched in silence. What's happening? Jake asked. Eris stepped forward. Your child is calling to the planet. The vault responds only to the blood of both worlds, your blood and hers. The child, still small, still silent, glowed softly. Its feathers had changed overnight, more vibrant, more alive. It didn't cry, it didn't speak. But Jake could feel its thoughts. They were not a child's thoughts. Later that day, Eris took Jake deep into the heart of the sky tree. Massive roots pulsed with energy beneath their feet. They entered the chamber of memory, a hidden place known only to the oldest Guardians. There, the walls came alive with glowing pictures, not drawings, living echoes of the past. Images moved, shaped by memory. Eris spoke slowly. Our kind were not always peaceful. Once, long ago, we were like your people, full of pride, war, and fire. We spread across stars, took what we wanted. Jake listened, eyes on the shifting images. They showed winged warriors burning cities on other planets. But something changed? He asked. Eris nodded. Yes. We found the center of all life, a planet older than any star. It showed us how to listen, how to protect, not destroy. We became guardians, keepers of balance, of nature, of life itself. Then the image changed. It showed a shadow, dark, cold, spreading through space like a storm, swallowing planets, eating suns. And this, Jake whispered. The Voidborn, Eris said. They feed on life. They're coming back. Your child. Maybe the only one who can stop them. Jake looked down at the child. It stared into the glowing walls, unblinking. But why did the mother choose me? He asked. She didn't even speak. She just left. Eris turned to him, her voice quieter now. She was not just a guardian. She was a watcher, one who saw the future. She knew she would die, but she also saw something else. What? You. The memory walls changed again. This time, Jake saw himself, crash landing on Varela, lost, broken. And then he saw her, not as she was, but before. Injured, hiding, watching him. She waited years for you, Eris said. Not by chance, by choice. Jake's hands trembled. She knew me before I came. She chose you, Eris confirmed. And she gave her life for the child. Jake stepped back. His thoughts were spinning. The child had never been an accident. It was a plan. Meanwhile, above the clouds, far beyond the planet's edge, ships moved into orbit. They were not alien. They were human. A command vessel, marked UHS Brazenfire, hovered silently in Varela's atmosphere. Inside, Captain Rena Hale stood before her officers. We've received the signal from the scout pod, she said. Survivor confirmed. Lieutenant Jake Madden, presumed missing in action, now alive and on an alien world. Her second in command, Commander Trask, frowned. Intel shows he's not alone. Biosignatures say he's carrying an unknown life form, possibly a hostage. Or worse, Hale said coldly. If he's compromised, we extract by force. Back, on Varela, Jake sat alone with the child under a tree of light. He spoke softly. I don't know what you are, or why this is happening, but I swear, I'll protect you. The child blinked once. Then its wings opened, fully, for the first time. A soft pulse spread through the jungle. Flowers opened, trees bowed, the sky shifted color, and far below them, jungle floor, the star vault opened. The Council of Guardians felt it instantly. Energy pulsed through the sky tree. It has begun, said the eldest guardian. Eris rushed in. Jake and the child are already near the vault. The council panicked. We're not ready. This could trigger a full awakening. Stop them. But it was too late. Jake reached the mouth of the vault. It wasn't a door. It was a tree, huge, black, and glowing. Not made of wood, made of memory, made of code, made of life. The child stepped forward. The tree opened like a blooming flower. They entered. Inside was darkness, not empty, full of voices, pasts, futures, timelines that had already happened, and ones that hadn't. The child walked ahead. The walls came alive, images of war, of peace, of species joining hands, of others burning. Jake saw humans destroying alien cities. He saw guardians dying to protect life. He saw himself dying, saving the child. And he saw the Voidborn. Endless, massive, made of shadow and teeth, and something else. A second egg, hidden, still unhatched. Suddenly a voice echoed in the vault. Not the child's, not Jake's. You were never the first, Jake. There was another. He spun, standing at the far end of the chamber, was her, not as he remembered her, but full, whole, radiant. The mother, alive, or a memory. You are not dreaming, she said. I left my body, but my spirit remained here, to guide the child. Why me? He asked again, broken. Because you are not like the others, she said. You felt peace when others chose war. You saw me as a being, not a threat. Tears filled Jake's eyes. The child walked toward her. The mother knelt and touched its face. My time is gone, but your path has only begun. The tree began to close again. The mother faded. The vault pulsed, and above, on the edge of the atmosphere, the human fleet began its descent. They were not coming in peace. The betrayal, the air above Varela cracked open with fire. The human ship, Ooze. Brazenfire cut through the clouds like a blade. Its engines screamed. Its steel belly opened. Dropships fell like thunder. On the jungle floor below, the trees shook, Birds scattered, vines curled away like they feared what was coming. Jake knew. They had arrived and he knew they wouldn't listen. He ran, not away, but toward the danger. The child in his arms, the vault closing behind him. The planet had shown him the future. War. Betrayal. Fire. But not defeat. Within the human command ship, Captain Hale stood watching her screens. Target located, preparing extraction. Her voice was flat. Cold. Commander, Trask leaned in. He's moving fast. Armed? We don't care if he's armed, Hale replied. We care if he's changed. She turned toward her strike team. Go down there, secure the subject. If Lieutenant Madden resists, end him. Jake moved through the thick trees, faster than he ever had before. The child clung to him without fear. Its eyes glowed softly, tracking every sound, every shift in the forest. He wasn't heading back to the Guardian City. He was heading deeper, to the root grounds, where the planet's heart beat under the soil. Behind him, he heard it, the hiss of thrusters. Humans. 5 soldiers dropped through, the canopy in metal armor, red visors, rifles humming with energy. They saw Jake. Freeze! Hands up! Jake held the child tighter. You don't understand. This isn't just a creature. This is something the galaxy needs. Final warning! The soldier barked. The child opened its eyes, and the forest responded. Suddenly, vines shot up from the ground. Glowing roots wrapped around the soldier's legs. One fired, missed. Another screamed as branches pulled him into the air. Jake stared in shock. The child wasn't scared. It was controlling the jungle. Miles away in the sky tree, Eris felt it. The awakening had begun. She turned to the council chamber, but she didn't wait for permission. She grabbed her staff, spread her wings, and jumped off the ledge. The wind caught her. She dove toward the jungle, toward Jake. Back on the ground, Jake ducked behind a root wall. Blaster fire scorched trees above him. The forest was alive now, defending him, growing fast, wild. One soldier was already gone, dragged under by shifting soil. Jake clutched the child. Did you do that? It stared at him. Calm. Then softly, it raised a hand toward the sky. Above them, storm clouds formed. Fast. Lightning crackled. Jake's mouth fell open. You're not just a hybrid, he whispered. You're a conduit. A bridge. Another blast hit the ground nearby, snapping him out of it. He ran again, into a narrow tunnel of roots. As he ran, someone stepped out from the mist. Eris. She looked different now. Battle armor. Her eyes fierce. Come with me, she said. No time. They won't stop, Jake said, and they want the child. Then we give them something they didn't expect, she replied. She tapped her staff to the ground. A burst of blue light opened a hidden passage below them. They dropped in just as a human grenade exploded above. Inside the tunnel, roots glowed, like stars. The air was thick with energy. The child reached out and touched one wall. Visions flowed again, into Jake's mind. He saw other hybrids, hundreds of them. Not alive, but once planned, once possible, then destroyed, killed. They tried this before, he muttered. The Guardians. Maybe even humans. Eris nodded grimly. The first hybrids were made during the last Great War. They were meant to unite us. What happened? Fear happened. They reached a small chamber deep underground. A pool of glowing liquid pulsed in the center. Eris knelt beside it and whispered something in her language. The liquid shifted, and from beneath it rose a pedestal. On it was another egg, not gold, but dark blue, swirling with storm-like energy. Jake stepped back. Is that? Eris nodded. The second egg, left by her, hidden even from the council. Another child? No, she said slowly. Something older. The child in Jake's arms reached toward the egg but didn't touch it. It stared, almost afraid. Above, the human ship's main cannon locked onto the jungle below. Ready to fire, Trask said. Hale didn't blink. Wipe the forest. No survivors. Suddenly the planet screamed. A low vibration shook everything. Trees cracked. Animals fled. Even the clouds above twisted into spirals. From deep underground, light burst out, shooting into the sky like a beam. Every human screen went blank. Then a voice echoed. In every mind. Not words. A feeling. A warning. A command. Leave this world. Hale staggered back. Trask fell to his knees. The pilots screamed and tore off their helmets. The child's power had reached them. In the underground chamber, the egg began to crack. Not the one Jake carried. The second egg. Jake stepped back. This isn't right, it's too soon. Eris raised her staff, and we have to stop it. But it was too late. The shell cracked open. Inside was not a child. It was a being of pure light. No face, no form, just energy. And from it came a whisper. One child for peace, one for judgment. Jake looked at the glowing figure. What are you? It stared back. The answer to betrayal. War or harmony? The two hybrids stood in the glowing chamber, one in Jake's arms, small and peaceful, eyes full of stars, the other hovering above the ground, born from stormlight and silence, its body made of swirling energy, its voice still echoing inside Jake's skull. One child for peace, one for judgment. Eris stood ready to strike, staff glowing. It's unstable, she warned. That second being, it's not a child, it's something else. Jake looked between them. What did she create? What did she leave behind? The energy being slowly turned toward him. Its shape shifted, like it was trying to understand what form it should take. And then it spoke. Not loud, but clear. You chose love. The ground trembled. Far above, in the clouds, Captain Hale gave her final order. Fire. The human ship's main cannon launched a blast of pure white heat, meant to clear 10 square kilometers, a weapon used only in full planetary war. As the beam fell, the planet reacted. Not the Guardians. Not Jake. The planet itself. Giant trees twisted, upward in defense. Vines like cables snaked toward the sky. From the deep jungle, the heart tree awakened, its roots glowing, its branches rising like shields. The blast struck the barrier of living wood and light. It didn't break. It shattered itself. The energy bounced back, spiraling into the clouds, crashing into one of the human dropships. It exploded in flames. On the ground, everything fell still for one long second. Then all of nature began to scream. Birds blackened the sky, flowers closed like fists, and the wind carried a voice. Not human, not guardian, something ancient. Enough. Yonne. The ship's bridge alarms wailed. Captain Hale gripped the console. What the hell is happening? Commander Trask stared at the cracked screen. We're being shut out. By the planet. No, not just the planet, one of the techs whispered. By something inside it. Pull us back, Hale snapped. Now. But the engines didn't respond. They were no longer in control. Back in the chamber, Jake stared at the second being. Its energy pulsed. Lightning crawled over the floor. The first child, the one he'd protected since day one, stepped forward. Tiny. Silent, glowing, and raised its hand. The two beings faced each other. For a moment, time froze. The second child leaned down, touching the glowing one's palm. And then, a pulse of light filled the chamber. Visions exploded in Jake's mind. Earth in flames, alien fleets united under one banner. The hybrid child standing before, the Voidborn holding back the dark, and then, Jake dying. He gasped, falling to his knees. Eris pulled him up. They're choosing now, she said, her voice shaking. This is the fork in time. What do we do? Jake asked. Nothing, she said. They decide. Above the jungle, the human forces regrouped. Hale ordered ground troops to secure the vault zone. They moved fast, using armor and scanners, but the forest refused them. Roots broke their gear. Strange birds flew in their faces. Even time seemed to bend. 5-minute walks became hours. One squad never returned. The others started to whisper, "The planet is alive, and it doesn't want us here." But Hale didn't stop. "They've infected Madden," she said. "We take the hybrids by force. Kill anyone who stands in the way." Eris led Jake and the 2 children back through the root tunnels. They emerged in a great open field beneath the sky tree, a place called the Circle of Life, used only for ancient trials. Guardians stood in lines. Humans waited on the far edge, guns drawn. Captain Hale herself stood at the front, her armor shining. Jake stepped forward. "You don't have to do this." She didn't lower her weapon. "You were a soldier once," she said. "Now you're protecting something we don't even understand." "Exactly," Jake said. "We don't understand it, but that doesn't mean we destroy it." Hale looked at the children. Her voice turned sharp. "What if they're weapons, alien experiments? We let them live, and they could wipe us all out." Eris stepped forward. "Or they save you." Hale raised her gun. "I'm done with alien riddles." The hybrid child took a step forward. Alone, small feet in soft grass, wings slightly open, feathers glowing. A breeze circled the field, and in the sky, clouds opened. The child raised its hands and showed them what was coming. Above the clouds, in a part of space no one could see, a dark fleet moved, ships like living shadows, eyes blinking in the void-born, not a dream, not a myth, real and close. Everyone saw it. Guardians, humans, even Hale. The vision ended. No one moved. Hale's hand lowered slowly. "What was that?" Jake stepped beside her. "The reason this child was born." A long silence followed. Trask spoke first. "Captain, if we kill them, we kill our only hope." Hale looked at Jake, looked at the children, then at the sky. Then she dropped her weapon. "Call back the troops." Hours later, the council met again. This time, humans sat beside Guardians. There was no treaty, no promises, just a fragile silence. And a new question: what now? The eldest Guardian spoke. "The children are growing, their minds evolve daily. Soon they will become something even we can't predict." Jake nodded. "Then we raise them together, both sides." Eris added, "And prepare for what's coming." They all looked at the sky. In the deep night, Jake sat beside a fire, both hybrid children sleeping nearby. Eris joined him. "You changed everything," she said. He shook his head. "No, she did. Their mother. She saw all this. Gave her life to start it." "Would you do the same?" Eris asked. Jake didn't answer at first. He looked at the children, then up at the stars. "I think I already have." The new beginning. The stars above Virella no longer twinkled. They pulsed, slow, rhythmic, like a warning. The jungle had gone quiet. Even the trees, always whispering, stood still, as if holding their breath. On the highest peak of the sky tree, city. Jake stood alone. Below him, the world was preparing, not for peace, not for war, but for a choice. The 2 hybrid children stood side by side now. One, the feathered child Jake had carried since the crash, small, glowing, eyes wide with emotion. The other, the energy being born from the second egg, older, colder, and now fully formed, wings of light, voice like thunder wrapped in silence. They were not enemies, but they were not the same. Not anymore. From above the atmosphere, the Voidborn arrived, not ships, not creatures, something worse. Darkness unfolded like paper tearing across the sky. Reality bent, stars vanished, and through the rip in space they came, shadows with no shape, moving like thought, feeding on energy, on life, on hope itself. Guardian elders collapsed in pain as the Voidborn approached. Plants withered. Water turned still. Even the human fleet above began to drift, powerless. Captain Hale stared at the monitors in shock. "What are they?" she whispered. No one answered. In the great chamber of the Heart Tree, all sides gathered. Guardians, humans, Eris, Captain Hale, and Jake. The council spoke first. "We cannot defeat them," said the eldest Guardian. "We never could, not alone." Jake stood up. "Then we don't fight them alone." He turned to the hybrids. "You're not weapons. You're not mistakes. You're bridges." The glowing child blinked. The energy being stared at him. Jake stepped forward. "I don't know what you're meant to become, but I know what you've already done. You gave two enemies a reason to sit together, and that alone is a miracle." The Voidborn reached the planet's outer layer. The sky cracked. A hole opened. Black, endless, hungry. And then it spoke. Not with sound, with despair. "You were given time. You chose division." Humans screamed. Guardians fell to their knees. Everything began to fade. Color, sound, gravity. But one thing stood still. The child. The one Jake had raised. It stepped forward, looked up at the void, and did the impossible. It smiled. Then the child turned to Jake, and for the first time it spoke aloud. Just one word. "Father." Jake's heart broke. He dropped to one knee, tears filling his eyes. The child walked forward. Wings of soft feathers opened. The other hybrid followed, its light now flickering. They reached the center of the platform, and from the roots of the tree, a beam of white energy shot into the sky, but it wasn't an attack, it was an invitation. The Voidborn paused. For the first time, it hesitated. From the child came not force, but memory. It shared everything. Jake holding it after the egg hatched, the alien mother watching them from the trees. The Guardians fear the humans' guns, and still love. Honest, terrifying, unshakable love. The Voidborn tried to resist, but they couldn't feed on love. They had no place in it. They began to split, into fragments, into silence. But one piece of the void struck back. Hard, aimed not at the child, but at Jake. The world slowed. A scream rose from Eris. Captain Hale raised her weapon, but Jake had already moved. He stepped between the blast and the child. His body glowed, and then turned to light. The Voidborn screamed. The second hybrid screamed back, its body splitting into stars. The first child cried out, energy blasting outward in a perfect sphere. Everything went white. Silence. And then green. Light. Air. When Jake opened his eyes, he was floating, not in a dream, not in space, in something else. He stood on the edge of a river made of stars, and beside him, her, the mother. She smiled, her feathers brighter than ever. "You kept your promise," she said. Jake couldn't speak. She placed her hand over his heart. "Your love became their future." Back on Varela, the world was changed. No sign of the Voidborn. The sky clearer than ever. The jungle alive, calm, blooming. Humans and Guardians stood in silence. The second hybrid, gone, vanished into light. The first hybrid, the child of both worlds, stood at the Heart Tree's roots. It looked at Eris, at Hale, and simply said, "Begin again." Weeks passed, then months. No wars came, no invasions. The planet became a sanctuary, shared by humans and Guardians alike. Some called it a miracle, others a warning. But one truth remained. The hybrid child walked among them, never aging, always watching. On a hill above the great river, a small garden grew. At the center, a stone. Jake Madden, Father of Peace. Sometimes when the wind blew, feathers drifted down, and some said, if you listened closely, you could hear a voice in the breeze. It all began with one night.